You know, I like Raising Cane's lemonade, but God, is it sticky. Oh my God, it's definitely all the sugar in it. Oh, I poured a glass right before we started, and I just spilled a little bit on my hand, and it's so fucking sticky, man. Alright, so as we get into things tonight, we are not starting with Splatoon. We'll get to Splatoon in a little bit. We're actually starting with the Game Awards. Oh, the Game Awards. So, it's the time of year, it's the same time around every year, where we sit down and we see what the Game Awards have to offer. Oh my God, what are the Game Awards going to do this year? So we're going to make our predictions. We're going to go through the nominees, the categories, make our predictions, do some voting. And then after that, we'll get to Splatoon. We have one other news story involving Sony and From Software and anime. So we'll talk about that. And then I got some WIBE stuff. I did see some movies, tried some food. I barely played a game. We'll talk about it real briefly. So that's the show tonight. We're mostly talking about Game Awards nominees. I do this every year. Every year we do the Game Awards nominees. Most years we don't actually watch the show. I don't know if that's going to change this year. I actually do have unlike most years where I don't watch the show because I am literally busy the same night as the show, this year it is different. This year I actually do have time to watch the show. Do I want to? I don't know. So I guess let's get into it. So, to start off the Game Awards, I should say, I want to go into this very clear. The Game Awards don't actually matter. Like every other award show out there, they are entirely pointless, and whatever they pick doesn't matter. There are always the usual snubs. They always miss out on some great stuff every year. And it always sucks. It always sucks when good stuff gets snubbed. So I'm not actually really that worried, right? Like, they don't actually matter. I literally do this for fun, right? Because if the Game Awards, or the game advertisements, as some people call it, rightfully so, if that's how they're going to do things, sometimes you gotta make your own fun, right? I know, given the chance, players will optimize the fun out of games. And you could argue that's what the Game Awards has become in some way. They are optimizing the fun out of video games. But you gotta make your own fun. And I like, trying to do predictions and then inevitably getting it wrong. I find that fun in its own rude, crude, twisted way. Especially because the Oscars are just so fucking boring, man. Like, I used to do this for the Oscars all the time, and now I haven't seen the Oscars in years. They're just so boring. They had, one good showing the year they decided not to have a host, and then they learned nothing from it. So, we'll make our fun one way or another. I used to always hope, hey, Nintendo was going to show one thing at the Game Awards, and since Reggie left, they've shown nothing, so no Switch 2. I'll make that prediction right now, no Switch 2. Because Xbox actually revealed the Xbox Series X at the Game Awards, which is crazy to think about in hindsight, but yeah, that did happen. So we're going to go through all the categories, except for some of these. I do not care about the esports ones, right? The esports ones mean nothing to me. I don't have a good grasp on the esports one, right? That's the thing. I don't know what makes a good esports game. I know nothing about esports. I've never seen an event. So we're going to skip the esports ones, but I'll check out all the others. Content creator. So let's start with this. So for a streamer of content creator who has made an impact and positive impact on the community in 2024, I have literally never heard of these three guys. Right, I've never heard of them, no idea who that is. What are you? The only ones I've heard about was Queso, because, fat guy representation. As a fat guy, he represents us, right? And I've heard of Asado Picori. I don't know much about them. I think they were one of the people who sang the national anthem at the Dodgers game, or they did something at a Dodgers game once. I know Hideo Kojima is a big fan of theirs, because they got invited to tour Kojima Productions, which is just one of those random bits of information that I know for some reason. But yeah, fat guy solidarity. I'm going with Queso. I saw a clip from Queso's stream after he got nominated, where he was like, "I don't want to be nominated. Right? People are just gonna get mad at me. I don't want to be nominated for this award." He was extremely humble for it, and yeah, that's why I'm voting for him. If Picori wins, you know what? Good for them. Honestly, if any of them win, you know what? Good for them. In a year's time, this won't matter. Right? These awards inevitably do not matter in a year. The only thing I care about is that it's a different group of people every time. Right? I don't want them to just keep going back to the well year after year. Right? The fact that none of these 5 people were nominated last year, that's all I ask. Admittedly, I'd never heard of Queso last year, whereas I'm pretty sure I knew this person existed. Right, and again, I still have no idea who these 3 people are. But no, honestly, if it's these two, these are kind of the 2 that I want it to be, just because I don't know who these 3 are. But at least I actually know who 2 of them are. Usually, I think I only know 1. Like, I think Iron Mouse was nominated and probably won last year, and that was the only person I knew. Esports game, guess what? Don't care. Oh, wait, this is working in the opposite direction. Alright. Anticipated. Is this what? It's gonna be Grand Theft Auto. Anticipated doesn't matter. It's gonna be Grand Theft Auto. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for Prime. I'm excited for other things in here, kind of. Actually, Ghost of Yotei should be pretty cool. I still have to play Death Stranding, the original. Like, I heard it got good eventually. And then Monster Hunter has just never been my cup of tea. Not that I have anything against it, it's just never been my cup of tea. The one I'm personally most excited for is probably Prime 4, but it's going to be Grand Theft Auto. Like, that, is that even a question? Is Grand Theft Auto actually coming out next year? I have no idea. Best adaptation. From what I heard, people didn't like this one. I thought I heard some okay things about Tomb Raider, but it seems to be mixed. I've seen 2 of these other things. I haven't seen Arcane. I am going to watch Arcane. Sometime in the next few weeks, I am going to watch Arcane. Knuckles, I have seen. It was okay. Kind of like the Sonic movies themselves. It was okay. It had its high moments. I love the rock opera. I know some critics hate it. I thought it was very fun. So Knuckles has its moments. It also has its down moments. Most of they put so much money into the rock opera in episode 4 that Knuckles barely appears in episodes 5 and 6. That kind of sucks, So it's not going to be Knuckles. Never in a million years. That really goes down to Arcane and Fallout. I'm going to vote for Fallout, because I'm a huge fan of Fallout. I want Fallout to win it. I really liked the Fallout show. I thought it was very good. High recommendation for me. But Arcane has recency bias going for it, because it is literally currently airing. I know this just says Arcane. I'm assuming they're nominating it because of Season 2, right? Arcane Season 2 is currently airing right now. I'm assuming that's why it's getting nominated, because I think it was nominated last year, and it lost to The Last of Us, which was kind of, because Arcane was already pretty old last year when it got, because last year was the first time this category existed. But right now that it's currently in popular media, it's probably going to win it. But I'm going to vote for Fallout because I want it to win. But Arcane's probably going to win. Right? There's the choice I want, and then the thing I actually expect to win. Multiplayer, honestly, a very good selection of multiplayer games. Call of Duty, Helldivers, Mario Party, Tekken, and Warhammer 40k. I love that Jeff Keighley called it Warhammer 40,000, right? Used its government name, as people put it. I think this is a good variety, right? Like, the fact that Mario Party's even here, right, as multiplayer couch co-op, I really like that. It's never going to win. It is never going to win. Neither is Tekken as a fighting game. I'm glad it's here. It's never going to win. That leaves the other three. Call of Duty has recency bias. But Helldivers, when Helldivers came out, and that, like, 2 months afterwards, Helldivers was a moment. Helldivers meant something, right? Between its release and the time that Sony tried to force everyone to have a Sony account, in between that period, it was just a spectacle. It was something like we hadn't seen in gaming in a while. And then that Sony did that thing, yeah, they got it undone, but it killed all momentum for the game. Like, since the Sony thing, I have heard almost nobody talk about Helldivers. So, what does that, for the moment it was big, that meant a lot. Right? For those 2 months where it was huge, it was huge. But since then, nobody's really talked about it, and I know these came out more recently, so they've got more in favor. I think recency bias is a thing in the Game Awards. I know in gaming in general, recency bias tends to be a thing, but I'm pretty sure it's a thing in the Game Awards. So rooting for Helldivers feels like a safe bet, but honestly, it could be any of these three. It's literally just not going to be these two. I legitimately don't... We'll get to Family Game in a minute. I legitimately don't think Nintendo's going to walk away with a single award tonight. Which has happened before. I think 21 they didn't walk away with a single thing. I'm going to vote Helldivers. Again, for those 2 months, that was something special. It's just, will the people voting on this actually remember that? Best Sports and Racing, F124, FC25, 2K25, Top Spin 2K25, and WWE 2K24. What the fuck is these? Like, okay, in the Oscars, there's a thing where in the Oscars, there's a thing that if no movie meets the qualifications for a category, they can just not give out the award. That's kind of what this feels like. That there's nothing in the category, so why even give out the award? The one notable sports game this year was college football. I felt like when college football came out, at least for, the few weeks it did, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was so excited for college football, but it's not nominated here. Why is it not nominated here? My best guess is, right, the Game Awards, if you look in their About or their FAQ, you'll see that, right, it's got Americans in it, but it represents a lot of countries as well, right? The Game Awards voting contender people represent outlets from all around the world. Only America cares about American in college football, right? So, of course, they're the only country that would vote for it. So even though it is one of the best sports games of the year, if literally only people in America voted for it, it's not going to get picked. So legitimately, racing, whatever, I literally don't even know if I've heard of this game. WWE, these 2K games are never that good. I literally have no idea what Top Spin is. So it's going to go down between these two. Let's just pick soccer and call it a day. I legitimately, if this was one of those, no award given categories, that wouldn't surprise me. That's kind of how I feel about sports and fighting games. Every once in a while, something big comes along, but most years, it's just kind of nothing. Sim/strategy, Age of Mythology, Frostpunk, Kinutsugami, Manor Lords, Unicorn Overlords. No real, strong feelings towards any of these. Did that Microsoft strategy game never come up? It was called what? Aura Histories Untold or something like that? Yeah, Aura's History Untold. Oh, it did not review well. Okay, never mind. Because Aura History Untold looked interesting. But yeah, I guess it didn't review well. Of all of these games, I've heard of Age of Mythology, have no idea if it was good. I've heard of Frostpunk, have no idea if it was good. I have no idea what these two games are. And then I've heard of Unicorn Overlords, and I have heard that one's good. So I'm going to vote Unicorn Overlords. But yeah, I really have no impressions on this category. I feel like, yeah, Sim and Strategy was most letdowns this year. I mean, again, I heard this one was good. But like a bunch of stuff I was hopeful for just kind of underwhelmed. Best Nintendo game, right, for best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. It's Astro Bot, Princess Peach Showtime, Mario Party Jamboree, Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. I'm surprised Princess Peach Showtime got a nomination. I'm also kind of surprised Plucky Squire got a nomination, because I've heard this game... it's funny, I was excited for this game, and then the reviews came out, and it was just kind of whelmed, right? It wasn't overwhelming or underwhelming. I mean, I guess it was kind of underwhelming, but it just kind of whelmed. Like, it existed. I know some people liked it. It's got a beautiful art style. But I hear, like, gameplay-wise, yeah, it was just kind of whelming. So I'm surprised this got a nomination, but, I don't want it to just... I never want Best Nintendo Game to just be Nintendo games. Right? I'm always happy to get some other stuff in here. But I'm surprised Princess Peach Showtime got it over something like the Thousand Year Door remake. Because I would have figured out the Thousand Year Door remake would have ranked much higher. These other two, right, Mario Party Jamboree, Echoes of Wisdom, totally belong here. Normally, I would give nods towards Echoes of Wisdom, because it was good. I liked it. I totally think it could have been nominated for Game of the Year this year. It didn't happen, obviously, but I totally think it could have happened. But instead, this is going to Astrobot. Usually, if in a category a game is nominated for Game of the Year, it will take that category. Nintendo has lost Best Nintendo Game multiple times over the years, including 2 other Game of the Year winners in the past. It Takes Two. So Astrobot's taking that, no questions asked. Astrobot is guaranteed to walk away with something. Best Fighting Game, again... a category that, yeah, it's got games that existed. I know people who have played Sparking Zero. It is sure a game that exists. Grand Blue Fantasy came out this year. Marvel vs. Capcom Collection is exactly that. It's an arcade collection. It's a bunch of classic games. Multiverses sure is a game that exists. Yep, it certainly does exist. And when the pickings are so slim for fighting games, yep, it makes the nomination. Of course, were there fighting games that got left out of here? Of course there was. Could I name any of them? No. But Multiverses never... I'm so disappointed by Multiverses. I want to like it so much more than I actually do. I think Warner Brothers fighting game, some of the characters they pick are great. Some of them super underwhelming. I'm excited Marceline the Vampire Queen's finally making it in. But, they did Banana Guard first. Whatever. Joke characters are okay. But, yeah, no, Multiverses I want to like more than I actually do. If it was, an actual, game that you purchased for, money instead of being a freemium thing, I would maybe like it a little bit more. Because that's, I know that Marvel Rivals comes out in a few weeks, and, that one's at least making the smart decision of giving you... It's a freemium game, but it's giving you all the characters at launch. I hate games like Multiverses where it's like, oh, you know, we're going to do character rotations. You want a character, you either have to buy them or you have to grind on the game for 60 hours to unlock a single character. Man, fuck that. That's not why Smash Bros. Melee is still popular 20 years later. Right? You make a good game first, you worry about all that other shit later. But of course, it's Warner Brothers. They're one of the greediest companies in gaming. They rival Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard. They just don't get called out for it enough. This is going to Tekken 8. I've heard great things about Tekken 8. Never played it personally, and I've never even played a Tekken game. But I've heard good things about all of them. Let's go into Tekken 8. No questions asked. Best RPG is a pretty stacked category. Dragon's Dogma, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. I have no perspective on any of these games. I know Dragon's Dogma was popular early in the year. This is the DLC to one of the most popular games ever. Final Fantasy Rebirth is, the second part of, I think it's a trilogy of remaking, one of the greatest games of all time. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth just seemed super good, super fun. If you were to ask me to play one of these games right now, I would pick Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. I think it's the most interesting of these games. And then Metaphor, has a good pedigree. It's made by Atlas, Studio Zero, the people who did Persona 5. That's a good pedigree. I think there's evidence for all these things to win. I'm going to scratch out Dragon's Dogma 2 instantly. And I'm going to strike out Infinite Wealth. Because even though, I've heard great things, these other 3 games are nominated for Game of the Year. It's going to be one of them. I just don't know which one. If I had to guess, I'm going to go Shadow of the Erdtree. I don't want Shadow of the Erdtree to win everything. We'll get to the controversies later. But I think it's at least going to walk away with something. And if it walks away with Best RPG, okay. Because see, now we're in the point where we have the stupid categories, where it's just like, hey, these categories are so vaguely defined that you could take any of these games and apply them to any of these 3 categories and they'd fit in. Because next up, we have Best Action Adventure. Look at this cavalcade of games that totally fits together. Because Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaw, and Echoes of Wisdom are all very similar games. They all play exactly like each other. I hate this category. I hate Action Adventure, and the next category, Action, I hate as well. Because they are so vague. A lot of these games have RPG elements. You could easily describe, because every game is so similar now, and every game in some way has RPG elements, that, a game like Star Wars Outlaws, which shouldn't even be here, let's be honest, it's not an action, right? It could be an RPG, it could be action adventure, it could be action, nothing matters, right? Of these 5 games, the only ones I even personally consider action adventure are maybe Prince of Persia and Echoes of Wisdom. Because, this, admittedly, I guess I see adventure here, I guess I kind of get this one, but this is a horror game, and this is a platformer. This is not an action-adventure game. This is a platformer. Do I think the Game Awards should have a Best Platformer category and a Best Horror Game category? Probably not the first one, but I would actually like a Best Horror Game category. I feel like enough horror games release every year that they could probably get away with that. But yeah, no, only of all 5 of these games, Prince of Persia and Zelda are the only ones I would actually qualify as action-adventure. I feel like the others are stronger in somewhere else. Again, especially Astrobot. Astrobot totally fits in better in other places. But do I think they fit into Best Action? No. I don't agree with that one either. Star Wars Outlaw shooter. Again, it kind of feels like an RPG. And again, stuff like Elden Ring also totally fits in this action-adventure stuff. there's a part of me that says, let's just vote for Astrobot and move on. Because, again, it's the only 5 of these games nominated for Game of the Year. It's gonna go to Astrobot, but I'm gonna hope at least Nintendo walks away with one thing this year. They're probably not. Honestly, Nintendo, I don't expect them to walk away with anything. But, you know, let's just vote for one. It's gonna be Astrobot. Action game, same thing. You have Black Myth Wukong, which is not a Souls-like. I've seen people call Black Myth Wukong an RPG. That it's not a Souls-like. You have Call of Duty, Helldivers, and Stellar Blade and Warhammer, which are all more similar than they are different. And then, yeah, Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong are more similar than they are to these other 3 games. I think this category is a fucking mess, if I'm being honest. Again, I say these things every year. Best RPG, Best Action Adventure, and Best Action are just such vaguely defined categories. It's like the Emmys. You know how the Emmys has Best Comedy and Best Drama, and you have shows like The Bear, that even though that show is a drama, it gets nominated for Best Comedy for the past few years. Right, that's kind of what the RPG, action, adventure, and action feel like. They're so just vaguely defined, and anything gets nominated anywheres. I'm gonna go Black Myth Wukong, because again, it's the only thing in this thing nominated for Game of the Year. It's bound to be one of them. But, honestly, again, these 2 feel like they're in their own category, and these remaining 3... If Helldivers, Stellar Blade, or Space Marine take it, I'd be perfectly fine. Again, these awards don't matter. You're gonna see my Black Myth Wukong hatred later. If it walks away with something, whatever. I just don't want Call of Duty to win. I know that's petty, but that's the truth. VR, AR... I've heard of Metro Awakening. It's whatever. I've heard of Arizona Sunshine. I have no thoughts on it. Metal Hellslinger, I've never heard of. So it really comes down to these 2, and it's all about recency bias on this one. I've heard Asgard's Wrath 2 is fantastic. It's up there with like Half-Life Alyx as one of the best VR games. But I've also heard Arkham Shadow is really good, and that came out like 2 weeks ago. So that might also just win because of recency bias. I'm gonna go with Asgard's Wrath 2, just because, again, I've heard that game is really good, but if it's Arkham Shadow, I would in no way be surprised. Mobile game, again, kind of this, I don't want Zenless Zone Zero to win. Fuck Hoyoverse. Nah, I don't want that to win. AFK Journey, I just inherently... The idea that, oh, you're supposed to AFK in this game, right? You play the game by not playing the game. It's just stupid. Right? Wuthering Waves, I have no thoughts on whatsoever. So it really comes down to these 2. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon trading card game, Pocket. I have been enjoying my time with it. It does have recency bias, but Balatro is nominated for Game of the Year. It's gonna walk away with something this year, regardless, and I think this one's basically guaranteed. Okay, this is where it gets hard. These are some of the only categories I do actually care about are debut, indie, and accessibility, and this one's hard. Plucky Squire, I think, is out. I've never heard of Manor Lords. I have no idea what this game is. I have heard great things about Pacific Drive. I actually do want... this game has been on my PlayStation, wish list almost the entire year. I have heard great things about Pacific Drive. I don't think it's going to win. Because, again, Balatro is nominated for Game of the Year, and Animal Well is just a fantastic game from what I've heard. I'm going to make a controversial choice here. I'm going to say Animal Well for debut game. And then over here, an independent game, which is, these two are the same. It has Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, which I'd heard of, Neva, which I'd heard of, and UFO 50, which I have heard of but know nothing about. I have no idea what this game is. Neva I've heard is good. Lorelei's and the Laser Eyes I've heard is good. I'm gonna go Balatro though. There's a part of me that usually I'm gonna be wrong on this, but my hope is that Animal Well wins one category, Balatro wins the other. Statistically, I am wrong there. Usually, whatever wins debut wins independent, and vice versa. Right? Whatever wins in one category wins in the other. You know, it's like the best director, film of the year thing, where you can always tell, like, oh, who's gonna win based on who wins the other. I would love to see the guy who created, because again, these are, Animal Well and Balatro are both created by solo devs. Just a single person working on a game. Honestly, I kind of want them both to win, but I know they're not both gonna win. But they're both good games. They both deserve a win. Do I actually think they're both gonna win? Probably not, but I'd love to see it happen. Community support, I think Baldur's Gate 3 won it last year. Fortnite's every year. Honestly, they could win any year, they could lose any year. It's really hard to tell with Fortnite. Final Fantasy 7, or 14, I mean, did it do anything big this year? Like, I'm sure they put out a major update, but I didn't really, like, a few years ago, I remember Final Fantasy 14 was the talk of the town. Everybody was talking about Final Fantasy 14. Not really this year. Overwatch, it's kind of the same, right? Or No Man's Sky, I mean. No Man's Sky was like, yeah, you know, they put out an update. I heard it's big. But did I actually do anything with it? I don't know. And I don't want Baldur's Gate 3 to win it just because Baldur's Gate 3 wins it every time. The music I'm currently playing in the background is Baldur's Gate 3. So, like, if it wins, sure, cool. But if it doesn't, you know, it's no big deal to me. It's no sweat off my back. But I'm gonna go Helldivers again, just because that 2-month period where Helldivers was big, man. Recognizing an outstanding community support, transparency, and again, transparency. Even during all the controversy, Helldivers was transparent with that, right? Did it actually work out in their favor? Not at all. No, it killed the game. That was completely out of their control, though. Best ongoing, it's kind of the same thing. Fuck Destiny 2, that's gone. It could be any of these other 4. There's a part of me that just... Again, if it's Fortnite, it would never surprise me. There's a part of me that just wants to go Helldivers 2 again, developing ongoing content. Because what Helldivers 2 did during that 2-month period was great, right? People loved it. Since then, I don't know. But during those 2 months when everybody was talking about it, you better believe everyone was talking about it. Games for Impact. Oh wow, there's actually 6 in this one. I'll be honest, I don't really have... I don't know why Life is Strange is here. Like, legitimately, is Life is Strange here because previous Life is Strange games have been here? Like, there's nothing special that this one seems to have done. Neva is an environmentalist game, you know, those always make the rounds. Hellblade, I know the first Hellblade was great. I did not hear as many good things on the second one. So, I don't know. I know nothing about this game. I know nothing about Indica. That kind of leaves Closer the Distance just kind of as the last one out. Right? I haven't played any of these games. So I kind of feel out of my depth here. But let's just go I don't know. Indica might be great, but it kind of feels like the last one. Innovation and accessibility. Oh my god. The only one of these games I've actually played is Prince of Persia. I really like what Prince of Persia did. It's got all those great settings. I love it. They added the feature where at any point you can take a screenshot, and the screenshot gets added to your map. So at any point you can, you get to a puzzle, you take a screenshot of it, and then you find that solution in a different room. You can take a screenshot of that, pull it up on your map. It was a really cool feature. Usually this is a PlayStation award. PlayStation doesn't have a single game nominated. I'm also kind of surprised Life is Strange Double Exposure wasn't nominated. Well, I have no idea with this one. Because Ubisoft, I always get, right, PlayStation always gets a lot of credit for accessibility because they're pretty good at it. Ubisoft has always kind of been an underdog of accessibility. Like, even though, Ubisoft is a shitty company, they're actually pretty good at accessibility, and they have been for years. I have no idea what Black Ops 6 has done. I have no idea what Diablo 4 has done. And yeah, Dragon Age and the Veilguard, they have your standard suite of accessibility stuff. It's just it's innovation in accessibility, right? Recognizing software or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. I just think of Prince of Persia. I'm gonna go Prince of Persia because it's the only one I know. And there was a part of me that was interested in the game just for that feature. That accessibility feature for a Metroidvania is super interesting, right? That's innovation. That I feel like the other games, right, they're your standard sweep of accessibility. And don't get me wrong, I'm always glad they have that stuff. But Prince of Persia did something new. Best performance, I have no idea. I know, right, Melina Jorgens here has won this award in the past. They won it for the first Hellblade, so they could totally win it again. I know Brianna White here is Aerith in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm pretty sure Hanatel is Max, and then Luke Roberts is the main guy in Silent Hill 2. I'm assuming that's the main girl in, right? Humberly Gonzalez is the main girl in Star Wars Outlaws, which I have actually heard, good things about. I know there's always that anti-DEI crowd, those racists, but I've actually heard good things about the main protagonist of Star Wars Outlaws, regardless of the game itself. So I have no, specific thoughts on who's going to win this. It could totally be anything. I think it is... I don't know, there's a part of me that just says it's going to be her because she's won it before and, she could win it again. Because that's how a lot of these award shows work. For specifically stuff like this. I'm always down for new blood and new faces. But, once you've done it once, you can do it again. But I've also heard good things about her performance as Aerith. I've actually heard some great things about that. So there's a part of me that says, let's just go for that, because it's different. You know what, fuck it, let's just go for that, because it's different. Best audio design. Silent Hill 2 is a horror game. Horror games have great audio design. Hellblade Senua's Saga, kind of the same thing. Of all the games I've played this year, Astrobot sticks out. Right, because of how they use the DualSense controller, I remember way more of the audio design than I do any other game I've played this year. Right, the glass, I don't know why glass is the first thing that comes to mind. But right, I remember a good chunk of the audio design in Astrobot. Do I think Astrobot's going to win it? Probably not. I don't know. I'd be down for Astrobot sweep. You know me. I'm always down for... I really did enjoy Astrobot. I'm down for Astrobot sweep. But I don't know if Astrobot is actually going to sweep. I feel like the second safest bet is Silent Hill 2. I know it's a remake, but it's a horror game. Horror games have good audio design. Score and music, that one definitely is not Astrobot. Neither is Silent Hill. I've heard some okay things about Stellar Blade. Final Fantasy has good music always, but I have heard great things about Metaphor ReFantazio. I have heard some fantastic things about that game. If it is Final Fantasy, I wouldn't be surprised, but let's go Metaphor. Art direction? I know, I want to say someone described Metaphor as, like, the most beautiful, ugly game you've ever seen. Right? It's got, like, a real, like, diarrhea Christmas lights problem. So I don't think that's going to be it. Neva looked good, but I don't think that's going to be it. Astrobot looked good, but I don't think that's going to be it. It really comes down to these two. I have no idea. I know people were freaking out about Black Myth Wukong. Who won it? Who won it? Give me a second. I want to know who won Best Art Direction in previous years. Game Awards Best Art Direction. God of War won it in 2020. Or wait. Is there just a... Come on, does somebody have just like a list? Who won it last year? I have no idea. I thought it'd just pull up like a Wikipedia page or something. Best art. Okay, let's try this. Alan Wake won it last year. Elden Ring won it the year before that. Deathloop the year before that. Ghost of Tsushima the year before that. I think having Elden Ring win it twice is dumb. So let's go Black Myth. Right, again, that's the problem with nominating DLC. Is that, well, yes, you're nominating DLC. I want new blood. Right, yeah, you won it before. I'd like to see somebody different win it again. And, yeah, we'll talk about that here. I mean, in, like, a moment, because we're almost at Game of the Year. Best Narrative... It's not, you're a remake, even though you're really good, you are a remake. I've heard mixed things about you. I really like you. I don't think you're gonna win. You're also kind of a remake. I know they changed some things between the original and this one. Still a remake. Let's go with Metaphor. Wow, there's 6 on... Well, yeah, okay, I guess it makes sense. I mean, this is literally the same thing as Game of the Year. Right? This is the same idea, same category. Awarded for outstanding creative vision, innovation, game direction, and design. I have no fucking idea. I think it's usually whoever wins game direction usually wins game... It's... It's kind of like Best Director, right? Like in the Oscars... Whoever wins Best Director usually wins Best Movie of the Year, Best Picture. It's kind of the same thing at the Game Award, right? Best Direction usually wins Game of the Year. So I have no idea. Because next one is... Yeah, Game of the Year. So... Let's just do Game of the Year. So Game of the Year, our nominees are Astrobot... Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. So last week when I gave my predictions, I said Astrobot was guaranteed, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was guaranteed, Metaphor ReFantazio were guaranteed. These were the 3 we knew were going to be here. And then it just came down to the last 3. My hope was that Balatro or Animal Will was going to be nominated. I always want indie representation in Game of the Year. Because the indie space is huge in gaming. And most years, it just kind of gets pushed to the side. Not always. I mean, 2018 nominated Celeste. In 2020, It Takes Two was nominated. That is an indie game. And that game won. Indie games can win Game of the Year. They have in the past. So Balatro being nominated, I think is fantastic. I've seen, of course, Game Awards, even though these shows don't matter, there have been tons of controversy, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Balatro, I've never even heard of this game. Why is this even nominated? Give this game a chance. This game is phenomenal. I've already seen several people being like, oh, this Balatro thing got nominated for Game of the Year. I guess I'll give it a chance. And then boom, they put in like 20 hours and like basically since the nominees came out on Monday, from like Monday to Thursday, they've already put in like 20 hours in the game. That's just kind of how good this game is. It is fantastic. If you've never heard of it, except for these, right, if this is Game Awards is the first time you're hearing of it, please go give it a chance. It is fantastic. It has a great loop. It's really good. Shadow of the Erdtree. This is a DLC. I know there should DLCs be nominated or not. There's been a lot of controversy. I'm of two minds. On one hand, if a DLC is good enough, that for many people, it is the best thing they played this year, right? Over any other number of games. If a DLC is the best thing they played, then you know what? Sure, it should get nominated. Does it kind of suck that you have to play an entire other game just to play this one, whereas everything else you can just pick up and boot up instantly? Yes. I know technically the same thing can be said for this game, but technically you don't need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake to play Rebirth. You can just go play Rebirth. But, yeah, no, you actually have to beat Elden Ring to play this. That kind of sucks, right? Like, if I wanted to play, even though I've only played 2 of these, if I wanted to pick up any of these other 4, I could easily pick up these 3. But this one's gated to me. That kind of sucks. But, right, so I get it, right? If it's your favorite game, then it's your favorite game. Because I was doing my own research, right? Like, okay, so it'd be kind of hypocritical of me to come up here and say, hey, a DLC shouldn't be nominated, right? You can't nominate a DLC for Game of the Year. When in the past, I myself have personally nominated DLCs in my personal Game of the Year. Let me pull up the numbers real quick. Give me 1 second. In 2018, I nominated the Splatoon 2 Octo Expansion as my 8th personal favorite game that year. Not Splatoon 2, specifically its Octo Expansion. In 2021? Yeah, in 2021, I nominated Bowser's Fury, which was an expansion to Super Mario 3D World, as number 9 in my Game of the Year. And then in 2022, I nominated Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, as my number 8 Game of the Year that year. So 3 times in the past, since I've been doing my own personal Game of the Year nominees, you know, I have records dating back to 2018, I have done it 3 times. So there's a part of me that would be a hypocrite to be like, oh, well, no, a DLC can't be nominated for Game of the Year, when I've done it 3 times in the past. Admittedly, I think there is a difference. There is nuance there, because all 3 of those games, right? Octo Expansion was number 8. Bowser's Fury was number 9. And The Delicious Last Course was number 8. Those are all on the lower end of the spectrum. Whereas everything above them was a new original game that either came out that year or that I played that year, right? There was something new about it. So that's kind of the other thing, is right. Elden Ring won in 2018 or in 2022. It had its accolades. It's done its victory lap. Now it just gets to come in and do its victory lap again. Like, we're really just gonna let it do it again, even though they are right. Even though all the I understand there are a lot of people who worked very hard on Shadow of the Erdtree. And they deserve credit for working very hard on that. I completely agree. But there are equal number of people who worked really hard on all of these games who also deserve credit for that. And right, the idea that, hey, this studio who already won can just come back and win it again, that kind of sucks. Right? This is kind of why I don't like the Emmys. Because the Emmys plays out a lot like this, where I feel like every year it's like, oh, well, this show's just gonna win it again, even though, hey, guess what? Breaking Bad's gonna win for a 5th time because, it's Breaking Bad. And I know the opposite happens all the time, right? I don't think Better Call Saul ever got a single Emmy because there were always just other things that upstaged it. There have been plenty of famous snub shows that have never gotten a single award because just other stuff. Oh, well, for the entire time we're running, Succession is also running, and it's just going to take all the awards. Right? I don't like that. I like new blood to come in and take their victory laps. So yeah, so I see the argument on both sides. I get why it's here. It'd be hypocritical of me to say it's not here. I think in the future, though, the solution, just create a best DLC category. So much DLC comes out every year that it should just have its own category. So that way the people who worked on this stuff can still get their accolades, while the people who, do the new stuff equally get their accolades as well. Because, right, stuff in the past, like Phantom Liberty, Torn of the Golden Country, Blood and Wine, all of those deserve their recognition. They deserve their accolades. But they're never going to get it because there's no DLC category, right? Those are people who worked hard on games. I think a best DLC category should exist. I also kind of think a best remake category should exist. Because, right, remakes kind of have... They're taking something that was already good and making something that is equally good. Sometimes it's better, but, sometimes it's equally good. Yeah, Resident Evil, the Resident Evil 2 remake. Better than the original Resident Evil 2. That game definitely deserves its accolades. But yeah, I would also like to see that. We'll see in the future. And then the final game here, Black Myth Wukong. I'll be honest, I didn't expect this one to be nominated. I thought, Helldivers 2 was going to take it. I thought maybe Space Marine was going to take the last slot. Even Echoes of Wisdom could have taken the last slot. Because here's the thing. Black Myth Wukong is now the lowest rated game to ever take a Game of the Year. If you look at the highest rated games this year... Give me a second. Let's go to OpenCritic. Best reviewed games of the year. Right, you have Astrobot at number 1, Shadow of the Erdtree at number 2, Metaphor ReFantazio at number 3, Final Fantasy Rebirth at number 4, Balatro at number 7. Right, look at all... Oh, fuck me. Can I just not close that? There we go. Right, you have all these big games, right, of all the 6 nominees. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. More than half the nominees are in these top 10. Meanwhile, right, let's just go through games that weren't nominated. Tekken 8 could have been nominated. UFO 50. I'm glad Hades isn't nominated. It's still an early access game. It'll have its time in the sunshine next year. Not this year. Like a Dragon. Animal Well. Let's just keep going until we find that. Shin Megami Tensei 5, Paper Mario. I have heard 1000X Resist is fantastic. If there is one big snub this year, it's this game. This game should have been nominated. It actually really sucks that it wasn't. From what I've heard of people in the indie space, this game should have been nominated. There's, wait, that's a different Warhammer. Is that Warhammer? I think that's a different Warhammer. There's Unicorn Overlord, Slay the Princess, Persona 3 Reloaded, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Silent Hill 2, Dragon's Dogma. Let's keep going. There's Prince of Persia. There's Neva. There's Echoes of Wisdom. Let's just keep going. Thank goodness you're here. Another indie game snub. I really would have liked to have seen that nominated for Best Indie. I loved that game. Arkham Shadow. Nine Souls. Let's just keep going. We'll find it eventually. There's Call of Duty. Let's just keep going. There's Helldivers. There's Helldivers. Oh my god. We're now past 100. There's the Plucky Squire. There's Stellar Blade. There it is. Black Myth Wukong at 110. There are 100... Again, the lowest game to ever be nominated for Game of the Year. There are at least 100 games that I would have thought would have gotten nominated before this one did. That's kind of fucking crazy. That really is crazy when you think about it. So yeah, right, according to the list we just looked at, it probably should have been something simple, you know. Actually, I kind of want to go back there. Right, according to the list we just looked at, I mean, it should probably be, God, fucking Satisfactory, or probably Tekken. Let's just say, right? It should be something pretty high up here, right? Whatever this thing is, I've literally never heard of this. Vampire Survivors, another DLC. Destiny, another DLC. Let's just say Satisfactory, right? But nope, instead, it goes to Black Myth. So I'll be honest, I'm kind of... Black Myth is this year's Spider-Man. A game that, again, isn't actually bad, right? It's divisive at best. It's not actually bad. But I'm kind of rooting against it just because. Because there are some people who really like that game, who really want it to win. And there's definitely some levels of delusion here, kind of like Spider-Man last year. So for that reason alone, I'm out. I'm rooting against it. If I had to rank these based on what I think will win, what I want to win, last place in 6th, it's Black Myth Wukong. Again, it's kind of a joke, but I'm kind of rooting against it, because I think it's funny. Then Shadow of the Erdtree. Again, everything we've been talking about, DLC, no. If it wins, I will not at all be surprised. I know some people are saying that, oh, gaming is cooked if Shadow of the Erdtree wins. It proves the entire industry is rotten. Man, no, not even close. What an awful take. The gaming industry is not rotten because Shadow of the Erdtree won. If anything, it's rotten in spite of it, because of the fact that, you know, the people who vote for these Game of the Year nominees couldn't think of 6 other games better than it. They literally only got 5, and one of them was fucking Black Myth Wukong. That's the problem with the gaming industry. Not that Shadow of the Erdtree got nominated, but because nothing else was good enough to compare to it. That's your problem. So yeah, in 5th, Black Myth Wukong. Honestly, I have equal thoughts on Rebirth and Metaphor ReFantazio. I'm gonna put Rebirth at 4 because it is a remake. That's the only reason why. I'm gonna put ReFantazio at 3. Then that leaves Balatro and Astrobot. I'm gonna put Balatro at 2. I really hope if Balatro wins, that would be fantastic. I would love to see Balatro come up there and win it. That would be so cool. Good on the developer, right? Local Thunk literally thought the game was going to fail. they put the game together after being inspired by other stuff like Luck Be a Landlord. And they were like, oh, we're just going to put out our poker roguelike expecting it to fail. And no, the fact that it's nominated Great Game of the Year, fantastic for them. There's a part of me that really does hope it wins, because I always love a good indie game winner. But I expect it to be Astrobot. I fully expect it to be Astrobot. Astrobot is fantastic. It's one of the best platformers. It stands on the shoulders of giants. It reminds me of Kirby. It reminds me of Mario Galaxy. But it takes what those games does and does it just as good, if not better. I think it deserves a win. Where's it going to rank on my personal Game of the Year list? We'll find out in like a month. But, spoiler alert, it's going to be on there. And for game direction, let's just vote Balatro just to be different. Because, again, Astrobot is good. It's built on the shoulders of giants. All of these games are, arguably. But Balatro is different. Let's give it some credit. But if Elden Ring just sweeps the whole thing, I would in no way be surprised. That's totally an Elden Ring move, just to go in, take everything like they did last time. Because I'm like 80% sure that's how the last Game Awards played out, with Elden Ring sweep. So if we get another Elden Ring sweep, I would in no way be surprised. Oh shit. So yeah, that's kind of my Game of the Year predictions. I'm probably completely wrong on everything. I usually do awful in my predictions, but I just kind of had to go for it. So let's just kind of go for it. Any big snubs, any big misses this year? Like I said, I've heard, specifically in the past week, I had never heard of this 1000X Resistant game, but in the last week, everyone's been bringing it up as like the big indie game snub. I've heard it's fantastic. It is on Nintendo Switch from what I understand, so that's really cool. I might actually check that one out. That's kind of the one big snub. I can't really think of anything else. Again, I'm kind of surprised Thousand Year Door Remake didn't get nominated. Whatever. I don't think it's that big of a deal at the end of the day. I'm just kind of, I kind of expected it, and it's just kind of surprising it didn't happen. I can't really think of anything else. There's the standard stuff that I always want to get nominated that never does. Yeah, I can't really think of any other bigs. Like, there's always at least one big snub. But I feel like most of the stuff I expected to get nominated did get nominated. So that's not really a big surprise for me. Like, at all. And, like, even stuff I didn't... Like, UFO 50. Like, I know nothing about that UFO 50 game. But I just, like, for the past few weeks, I've been hearing people, like, kind of talk about it. So, I mean, I guess it's neat that it got nominated. Alright, let's play some Splatoon. Let's actually get into, the topic of the thing. Alright, there we go. I can hear it. Oh, I think they announced a big run. So yeah, I think that's all I gotta say about the Game Awards. I can't... Oh yeah, there was an update as well. They boosted the shooter again. Yeah, the splatter shot got boosted again. They really do just love that weapon, don't they? So let's see, what's our next thing? So our next story, it came out. This is just a rumor at the moment. Nothing has been confirmed, obviously. But it seems like Sony is in talks to acquire Kadokawa. I've always, for some reason in my memory, it's Kadokawa, which is, right, I mostly know them from anime. Right, Kadokawa, but it's Kadokawa? Yeah, Kadokawa. It's not what I thought it was. I guess I've been pronouncing it wrong for, like, years now. Oh, don't tell me we're under maintenance. But yeah, so Sony reportedly is in talks to acquire Kadokawa. Right, I mostly know them from anime. Right, they're a big anime studio that, you know, has done stuff like, let me pull up the list here. They've done stuff like Konosuba, Rascal Bunny Girl, or Rascal Boys Don't Dream of Bunny Girls, or whatever it's called. They did the movies Your Name. They did the show Overlord. They have done so much shit. They've got their hands in so many different pies. And for many years, right, I've always thought of them as, like, one of the better anime producers. Like, yeah, do they do a lot of 12-episode shows? Of course they do. But it's anime, right? 12-episode shows are kind of expected. But they have done some good stuff. Again, Your Name is fantastic. Konosuba, I do like. I don't love it, but I like it. The Rascal Boys Don't Dream of Bunny Girls, I think, is a fantastic anime. That breaks your fucking heart, man. I've never actually seen Overlord, I just know it's popular. And they've done a bunch of other stuff over the years. So that's where I primarily know them from. But I guess I honestly had no idea. Kadokawa owns From Software. They're the parent company of From Software. I had no idea. For some reason in my mind, Bandai Namco is the parent company of From Software. I think that because they're the publisher of Dark Souls, or I think it's something to do with being like a publisher or something. Are they all? I don't know. I can't even look. But yeah, that's in my mind. It's Bandai Namco, but no, I guess it's actually Kadokawa. So of course, a lot of people have been freaking out about this. The idea that, hey, Sony's gonna buy this because, you know, that gives them From Software. That means they can make Elden Ring and Dark Souls, and, well, they already have Bloodborne exclusivity. But, you know, they can do it for the other games as well. And I've seen people freaking out about that. And you know what? Rightfully so. I've seen some people saying that, like, oh, well, you didn't have a problem when, Microsoft tried to buy Activision Blizzard, but now that they're going after your precious Dark Souls, now you're complaining. No, I complained about the Activision Blizzard thing. I had a problem with that. I have a problem with this. No, my opinion really hasn't changed. Don't get it twisted, fam. My thought, I think all acquisitions are pretty bad. And yeah, the idea of them buying Kadokawa, right, for From Software. And honestly, you know how with the Activision Blizzard King deal, you could make the realistic argument that Microsoft only bought Activision Blizzard King, not for Activision, not for Blizzard, but for King? You could make the realistic argument that Sony's only buying them for their anime. Because Sony owns Crunchyroll and Funimation, right? I know they own Funimation. So you can make the realistic argument that Sony's only doing this for the anime. The video game stuff is just kind of, you know, icing on the cake. They actually want the anime. I think you could make that realistic argument, and you wouldn't be wrong. Yeah, no, I think that's totally possible. And, right, getting Dark Souls exclusivity is just a bonus. Now, I've heard some, right now, of course, you could argue that, oh, well, in recent years, Sony's actually been pushing their games on PC, so, you know, they'll still be released on PC eventually. Except for fucking Bloodborne, man. It's been years, and we still don't have Bloodborne on PC. So who knows? Who fucking knows? Yeah, of course, From Software isn't the only video game production house they own. Kadokawa also owns Spike Chunsoft, who is the developer behind games like Danganronpa, the Master Detective series. They worked on Pokemon Mystery Dungeons, which I had no idea about. I don't remember that one at all. But right there, I guess Spike Chunsoft's another one. And then they also own Acquire, who Acquire has worked on games like Octopath Traveler, and more recently, Mario and Luigi Brothership. Yeah, the new Mario and Luigi game that came out like 2 weeks ago, that's made by Acquire. So yeah, you know. Now, does that mean they have the rights to make Mario and Luigi? No, of course, that's not how it works at all. Despite what some clickbait articles will say. But yeah, no, that's another studio they might get. I don't know, is this actually going to happen? What's going on behind closed doors? Only time will tell. Obviously, you know, anything is possible, sadly. In the age of monopolies, literally everybody buys up everybody else, and it's horrible, and it definitely makes the video game industry worse, whether it is Sony or Microsoft or even Nintendo that's doing it, right? Acquisitions just overall lower the quality of games. But yeah, this, you know, honestly, Sony trying to buy From Software does not at all surprise me. That very much feels like something they do. And if they didn't do it, I feel like Microsoft would turn around and try to do it. Because Dark Souls are huge, man. And they don't just get Dark Souls, of course, they also get, you know, Armored Core, they get Elden Ring, which is technically a different thing. They get that Sekiro. Right, all things that fall under that same banner. Man, this story, it doesn't surprise me. If this deal does go through, that wouldn't surprise me either. I hate it, but I hate all these acquisitions. What else is new? You know, that just means more layoffs. The one potential, you know, upside is that when this acquisition does happen, right, Sony, for the most part, is hands-off when it comes to their developers. They mostly leave their developers alone. I know right now Destiny's kind of in the shitter, right? Bungie kind of seems to be failing. But from my understanding, Destiny/Bungie was a failing company long before Sony acquired them. So, yeah, but other than that, right, most of the other people that work for Sony that have been bought out by Sony mostly report that Sony is pretty hands-off. That Sony lets them make the games they want to make, which is good, right? That potentially means that, you know, Dark Souls, we might get that Bloodborne remake people desperately want. It's only a matter of time. I hope we get that Bloodborne remake regardless, or the PC port, or whatever. I don't know, people really want that Bloodborne remake, but oh no, The Last of Us, that was too soon. Again, it's only hypocrisy if it's a game you don't like. Or it's only hypocrisy if it's a game you do like. I don't know, it's complicated. Yeah, we were getting our buckets kicked. Alright, let's get to WIBE stuff. I got some food stuff. I got one story anyways. So Taco Bell, a few weeks ago, they released their Decades menu, which is like, hey, we're bringing back classic foods from each decade. Here's our tostada. Here's our Mexamelt. Here's two other things. Green burrito, and I can't remember what the third one was. So they released all those, and they were fine. But the one thing that they said, hey, we're going to re-release the apple pie empanada. But they weren't doing it until the end of the month. And I have no idea why. It's probably a production thing behind the scenes. But, right, they said they were going to re-release the apple pie empanada later in November. Hey, guess what? It's now later in November. And as of today, the apple pie empanada has returned. I have tried it, and it's okay. You know, it reminds me a lot of some of the other apple tarts you'll see at, like, other places. Like, I know McDonald's used to have their fried apple hand pies, which were good, but in recent years they stopped deep frying it. They tried to make it more healthy. And is it? Probably a little bit, but it's also just not as good. If you want a good, like, classic McDonald's hand pie, you gotta go to Whataburger. Whataburger still deep fries their hand pies, and those are fucking great. Taco Bell here with their caramel apple empanada. It reminds me more of the Whataburger one than it does the current McDonald's one. It is fried, and right, so it's a fried empanada with caramel apple filling. I think it's okay. There's definitely, so in like the goo, so it's apples, right? But it's also got like this goo, you know, like you'd see in an apple pie. And the goo is like caramel flavored, but it's kind of like artificially caramel flavored. And it's okay. Like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I do not hate it. But I feel like just going pure apple is better. Like, I'd still recommend the Whataburger one over this any day of the week. The Whataburger one also might be $1. I think this was $3. And if I had to guess, the Whataburger one's like $2. The Whataburger one might also be $3. It's been a while since I've had one. But yeah, it's okay. This apple pie empanada, it is okay. Would I say go out of my way to get it? Would I say to go out of the way to get any of these decade menu things? No, not really. There's nothing really that special that stands out. They're all just okay. Like, I guess I kind of get why Taco Bell discontinued things. I do like them having a new dessert in theory, or, you know, bringing back a classic one. Because I think because, you know, I don't really get desserts from fast food places. I don't really get apple pies. I don't really get, the only ones it's like Frosties. Like a Frosty from Wendy's, or a Concrete from Freddy's, right? Like, that's really the only exception. And Taco Bell has like those, they're not donut holes. I don't remember what they're called. I know a lot of places like Burger King has pies. I don't really get Burger King pies. You know, yeah, it's mostly just like shakes and ice creams. So, you know, it's nice to have like a non-shake / ice cream option that, again, is decent. I think this one's pretty decent. But again, I think Whataburger just does it better. And, like, I'm even talking, like, current-ish Whataburger. Like, because, again, it's like the old ones, the old fried McDonald's ones were definitely a lot less healthy, but they just tasted better. Because, you know, fried food is just good. Right? There's a reason every state fair just does a bunch of fried things. Because while it is totally unhealthy for you, man, does it taste good. And yeah, that's right. It tastes good. But I'd recommend the Whataburger thing any day of the week. Anything else? Did I have any other food stuff this week? How did I only kill one of them there? There were like 3 people bunched up. No idea. Yeah, I can't think of anything. I didn't really do much this week, if I'm being honest. And, like, rightfully so, you know. It's better not to do anything. I just don't think of anything else that came out. Yeah, no, I honestly couldn't tell you a single thing I ate this week. I had soup. That was it. I think the only other thing I had this week was soup. I went to the soup store and bought soup. You know what? So, food adjacent. Months, I think it was months ago. I think it was still this year. It might have been last year. Doug Dog, right? Famous YouTube Twitch streamer Doug Dog made a mug, right? It was a Doug, right? Because Doug Dog's character is like a bell pepper. So he made a bell pepper mug called a mug. And I was like, oh, that's neat. But I only found out about it right after it went on sale. Because at the time, it was one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I would buy one of these. Right? Because I don't really buy, like, YouTuber merch or, like, Twitch streamer merch. That's just not really my style. Especially shirts. Like, everybody does shirts because they're cheap and easy. I don't really do shirts. I like novelty. I like strange things. Right? That's one of the things I love Rooster Teeth did a lot. Is they did weird, stupid shit. Right? One of the other mugs I own is the Garbo mug. They made a Garbo mug where it was like, hey, what if we just did everything wrong? Right? It's a mug that holds like a shot glass. It's got a weird lip. It's hard to drink out of. It's an awful mug, but it's unique, and I love that. Right? I use mine to hold my D&D dice. I can fit an entire set of single set of D&D dice in there. So my D&D dice are currently stored in my Garbo mug. So it's like, that's neat. And I have a few others. I have some, I have a, Make Some Noise mug from, Dropout. I really wanted to buy the, Brennan speech one, and I just didn't, and I don't know why I didn't. Because College Humor, or Dropout, excuse me, they do a mug of the, they do a pen of the month, and they do a mug of the month. And I think that's really cool. So I bought, like, the one that, if you've been watching the current season of Make Some Noise, Sam has a mug on his desk of the three little guys. And I'm just like, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's a neat mug. I hope they actually sell that. And then, like, 3 months later, they actually did sell that. So I do actually have that mug. But, okay, so Doug mug. He made the original mugs. I only found out after they went off sale. Then, a few months later, for charity, for the Rosa charity, he did some gold ones. Yeah, no, I didn't win one of those. That's not what this is not me announcing that I won a golden mug. But instead, like, last week, or, like, maybe 2 weeks ago, he put back on sale the golden mug, or, not the gold, just the normal mug. He's done another production run of mugs. He put those on sale, and he also made a shirt. It was like, hey, I like the mug. And he made a shirt that was, I don't like the mug. Which was, right, a shirt advertising a shirt advertising a shirt. And I was like, that's, you know, that's playful. But again, I don't buy shirts. I'm not a big, I also like posters. Again, I have an Extra Life, I have the Extra Life Moonball paintball wall poster, which is one of my prized posters. They only made like 1,000 of them. I got one of the 1,000. I'm still happy to have that. I may have only ever gotten like one Gerpler, but I got that poster, and that's special to me. I have literally right behind my desk, I have that poster hanging. Still to this day, Rooster Teeth controversies be damned, I still love that poster. The blacklight one. It means something special to me. So yeah, so I saw the mug, ordered it, it came in. I didn't even realize what it was when it came in. I got this box and I was like, what the fuck is this? Why? I don't have anything ordered at Amazon right now. What? Why is this? At first I thought it was a Kickstarter thing, because some Kickstarters have been paying off recently. Bug Snacks paid out recently. I have the Bug Snacks board game, whatever. I have Mine Turtle. They, as a follow-up to Muffin Time, they made a Mine Turtle game, and I do actually have that. I haven't played it yet. It came in this week as well. I think it came in on, like, Monday. But yeah, so I got my mug. I have it here on my desk. It is so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, they filled up the entire volume of this bell pepper. And yeah, I don't know how I would ever use this mug. Like, it as like an actual, like at least the Dropout mugs are like actual mugs that I could use. The mug just feels completely impractical. But yeah, it's a bell pepper, it's orange. It's neat. Yeah, right now I just have it sitting on my desk. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I have no ideas at the moment. But you know, it's cool that I have it. I like weird merch like that, man. I like posters. I like mugs. I'm not a mug guy, but I think stuff like that's neat. So yeah, and like I said, I have the Garbo mug as well. It literally is sitting right, because the Garbo mug is on my desk for my D&D dice. And so it's right next to my Garbo mug, which I just think is neat. It's not a practical mug at all. You could never use it. But it's cool that it exists. I don't know, it's just more stuff I'm piling up that when I eventually move out, because, God, I'm not going to be here forever. Ooh, man. But yeah, alright, I'm going to have to figure out something to do with it. I've got too much shit on my desk. That's what I think I realize. So yeah, that's just kind of adjacent, you know, mugs, food. Sure, you know, it's neat. It's neat that it exists. I like more creativity, right? I love the Gerplers that, Fuckface did. Slash, I guess, the Regulation podcast now. Of course, could I ever get one? No. I got one. I got, I think, a green one. And... But no, those always just sold out instantly. Oh my god, I can't believe this. So I guess let's go to games. What games have I been playing? I played some more Mario and Luigi Brothership. I didn't actually play that much. Like, I realized at some point where I was like, oh yeah, I barely actually touched this game. Like, I don't think I played it at all, actually, during the weekdays. I've mostly just been playing that on the weekends, which is kind of bringing me back to why I don't really play RPGs, because I just don't have time during the weekdays. Between work and everything else, I just don't have time to play RPGs. The only time I do have is on the weekends. And yeah, I did put some more time into it. You know, did the quest where you get to choose between whether, Luigi or Peach gets kidnapped. And that was, you know, that was kind of fun. I kind of I picked Peach because I wanted to keep experience even. Like, that's literally the only reason I had them kidnap Peach, was because I didn't want Mario and Luigi to get, like, leveled out of sync. But it would have been really cool is if you had picked Luigi, then Peach became a temporary companion. It might work like that, and I have no idea. But I think that would have been cool. But yeah, no, I literally just, yeah, I did that, you know, went to the second lighthouse, because you had to go get oil. And fight these stupid bone sharks that just kill you instantly if you fuck up their prompts. So yeah, it was okay. You know, it's been okay so far. But yeah, I need to put more time into it. I don't know, I'm still really positive on it. I've actually found, I've heard that, right, even though I've been enjoying what's been going on in the game is kind of slow, I will admit that. But after the second lighthouse, and when you get into the third island, the third area, it supposedly really picks up and gets, like, really good. So, like, I've been enjoying the game, and supposedly I'm not even at the good part yet. Right? Like, it's gonna get way better. But it is, like, a 50-hour RPG, and I'm, like, 13 hours into it, because I did not put much time into it. I've been so busy with other things. And I legitimately think that is the only game I played. I played a little bit of Splatoon. You know, I do still enjoy this game. It is a good time. But I really have not played anything else. I've been playing Pokemon Card Pocket. I have not really gotten anything special. Ooh, I got a Moltres. Yay for me. I haven't got really anything. I got a Ditto. That was cool. You know, it's Pokemon Pocket. I like collecting stuff. Woo, this is my 2 free hits of heroin a day. Okay, maybe heroin is a little strong. Probably just crack. But still. You know what, now I do have to talk about. So, right, I've in this show throughout this year, we've talked a lot about my mother playing through Zelda games. She played, right, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Link's Awakening. She's been playing through Skyward Sword, and we haven't really talked about it that much. Like, I feel like I've mentioned it here or there, but very few and far in between. This week, she finally did beat Skyward Sword. It took her about 50 hours, which is, she didn't do a single side quest. She never found out what a gratitude crystal was. She never spun the wheel. She didn't get a single upgrade the entire game. I think she collected a total of like 4 bugs. She did nothing. Oh, Ella the Cryptid. Oh, thanks for the raid. Yeah, hey, welcome, everybody. How's everyone? What the heck was that? What the heck was that? Yeah, hey, how's everyone doing tonight? So yeah, my mother has been playing Skyward Sword. And yeah, she beat the game. I was really, honestly, as it got to the final boss, I'll be honest, I was really worried, because I remember Demise can be a pain in the ass. I know, final boss of Skyward Sword can suck. No, it took her, I think, 2 days. No, maybe it took her a day to beat Girahim. And then it took her another day, and then it took her like a day and a half. It took her a day and a half to beat Girahim, day and a half to beat Demise. Because she had I think 13 hearts. I think the entire game playthrough, she only got 4 heart containers. She never upgraded her shield once. So she was going in with the max shield, or with the, weakest shield. Not the wooden shield, but like the, the regeneration one. But yeah, she worked very hard. She sucks at doing the Skyward Strikes, so she basically had to relearn how to do the Skyward Strikes at the very end. Because I did have to help her multiple times, and one of the times I did help her was the shipwreck, the ship boss fight where you fight the Kraken, whose name I don't remember. She really struggled on that boss fight, man. She just could not get the Skyward Strikes. So after like a few hours of trying, I was just like, you know what, I'll take care of it for you. And then of course she gets mad at me when I beat it so easily. But yeah, she beat Skyward Sword. Good for her. She worked hard, took her 50 hours, but she's done it. That is the 4th Zelda game she has beat this year. And then my hope anyways, is the next one I'm going to give her is Echoes of Wisdom. It's the most recent one to come out. She was in the middle of Skyward Sword when Echoes of Wisdom came out. So I was like, yeah, you know what, we'll do this afterwards. Because after that, she's played every Switch Zelda game. Not counting NSO stuff. She hasn't touched Link to the Past, Link's Awakening. No, she has touched Link's Awakening, never mind. She hasn't touched Ocarina or Majora. And I kind of don't think I'm going to throw her into Ocarina or Majora. Maybe if it was the 3DS version, like, I could probably throw her in the 3DS version and she'd do okay, but I feel like she'd really struggle on the N64 version. Because I love Ocarina, don't get me wrong, I think Ocarina's a good game, but it hasn't exactly aged that well. Not that, like, some of the stuff, like the bad aiming minigame, where you have to shoot the bow, she'd never even play that minigame. It'd never even be an issue for her. So, yeah. But yeah, she beat that this weekend. She worked very hard, got it done. I should do, when I do my game of the year at the end of the year, I should do her game of the year as well. I mean, if she's only played 5 games, I'd be curious to see how she ranked them. I'll have to remember to ask that when I go over for like Christmas dinner or something. That'd be very cute. I would say I'd get her on the show itself, right? Get her on the pod. She'd refuse. I've joked in the past about having her play like Pikmin on stream, because I think that would be very funny to see her try Pikmin for the first time. But she'd never do it. She would never do it. Oh, she also played It Takes Two this year. That is correct. She also did play It Takes Two. So I guess that makes 6 games. But yeah, I don't think I played anything else this week. I'm trying to think, did I play any other video games? Not really. I'm just so busy at work, man. Admittedly, I've got some time off for Thanksgiving next week. And my hope is to play more Balatro. I haven't touched Balatro in a long time. My hope is that maybe I'll put some more time. Because I know everyone's like, oh, you know, you pick it up to play for like an hour. And next thing you know, it's Thursday. Because, oh boy, did I get some people... So, Danny Mata made a TikTok complaining about Balatro being nominated for Game of the Year. And I replied just like, awful take, you know. And oh boy, did that get people mad at me. Oh boy. Did I... Right, calling, AAA games slop. Oh boy, did that piss people off. But hey, he's played Balatro now, so, you know, who cares at the end of the day? They're the Game Awards. But yeah, no, my TikTok has had some very angry comments. I mean, admittedly, nobody's told me to kill myself, right? Like, I know the algorithm punishes that, so that's probably the only reason I haven't gotten that. But I've had some other comments of people being very angry at me. I don't know, I've admittedly been trying to play it as like the smooth skin shark thing, where it's like, you know, as long as you just keep doubling down that sharks have smooth skin, eventually people will just, you know, people will either get so mad they rage quit, or people will realize that, hey, you're joking. And we'll see. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I've been doing there. So let's talk about movies real quick. I got 2 movies I want to talk about because I have seen some things. No spoilers. I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. No spoilers. I got nothing to spoil here. Yeah, let's just not do spoilers because these literally just came out today. I saw Wicked and I saw Gladiator II. And my thoughts, I enjoyed both movies. I think both movies are good. I would recommend them both. And I think it just depends on the type of person you are, right? If you like the action, then yeah, Gladiator. If you like musicals, or, you know, you think you might like musicals, if you like Ariana Grande, if you like Cynthia Erivo, you're gonna like Wicked. I think they both do a good job at what they're doing. I feel like, you know, I know there's a lot of problem with movie musicals. I have been a staunch defender of we shouldn't get movie musicals. Instead, they should just release pro cuts. I firmly believe that. Wicked, I think, is one of the better movie musicals. I feel like because it's long, because they're doing it in 2 parts, it allows them to take their time. It's one of the only musicals that I can think of that doesn't cut a single song from the Broadway play. Like, I think of Mean Girls a few years ago, where, you know, they cut a bunch of songs in the movie. Because you kind of have to. Yeah, no, Wicked doesn't cut a single song. If it's in the musical, it's there. And I think that's great. And of course, that does mean it's 2 parts. The movie, and if you've I've never seen the play. I actually know very little about Wicked itself. But I know where the play has its intermission. And guess what? The movie has intermission at the exact same... Right, the movie ends where the intermission is. It does everything I expected it to do. I do have several questions, because as someone who I've never, like, listened to the soundtrack. Like, I know there are some people who will, like, oh, well, you know, I've never seen the musical, but I've listened to the soundtrack. Like, for many years, that was me with Hamilton. That's currently me with Six. I've never seen the musical Six. And until next year. I do have tickets to go see it next year. But at the moment, I haven't seen it. But, you know, I've listened to it. I've never listened to Wicked. I've never seen it. It's been one of that I want to see, but it hasn't been on tour, or at least locally, in years. Since I've become a musical guy, Wicked has never been on tour, so I've never seen it. And it's watching this movie, everything I know about Wicked, I know from the first act. I legitimately have no idea what happens in the second act of this play. I don't even know if I've ever heard a song from the second act of this play. Because every song I knew, you know, Popular, Defying Gravity, The Wizard and I, What Is This Feeling? There's at least one more that I can't think of off the top of my head. Right, those are all songs in the first act. Sentimental Man, technically. Yeah, I have no idea what's in the second half of this play. No idea at all. And I wonder what's going to happen. Because, you know, from what I remember hearing at some point... I bookmarked it. Now, give me a second. So this is Todd in the Shadows, right? Famed music critic Todd in the Shadows, who said back in February, I want it known that I strongly support splitting Wicked into two parts because I've finally seen it and they need as much time as possible to make the second act not complete nonsense. So yeah, I guess the second act in the play is like kind of bullshit. And that, right, I know some people have said like, oh, well, maybe they'll adapt some stuff from the books. But the comment right below it is, when they announced they were doing it in two parts, I remember thinking, is it because they're going to incorporate more stuff from the books? Because boy howdy, the books and the musical do not go together tonally. And that comes from Matt Lowen. So yeah, I'm assuming they're not going to do, based on that, I'm going to guess they're not going to do stuff from the books. They might do stuff from the original Wizard of Oz. That might be my guess, is that they'll do stuff from the original the original movie. They'll adapt some of that into the modern thing. But yeah, I have no point of reference here. I've never seen Wicked. I've never listened to the soundtrack. I'm probably not going to listen to the soundtrack now, if purely out of spite. But I did enjoy the movie. I would recommend it. I'd honestly probably recommend it more than Gladiator, if I'm being just completely honest. It is 2.5 hours long, and I'll be honest, I didn't really feel the length. Like, for 2.5 hours, I've definitely had much worse 2.5 hour movies. Like, even Gladiator, which I think is 2 hours and 45 minutes. Also, right, like, that one felt the length, which is not always the worst thing in the world. This Wicked didn't really feel the length for me, personally. I think it was fine. I know people have complained about, like, the color grading and whatnot, and yeah, it's bad at points, but I think it's, overall, I think the set design was good. I feel like the casting was great. There are two specific casting. Without getting into specifics, early on in this movie, there's a statue, and I looked at that statue and I was like, wait, is that insert famous actor here? And then when you get to the end of the movie and it's like, oh my god, that is insert famous actor here. Oh shit. So I was happy to see that. But I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande both do a good job. Michelle Yeoh is the magic teacher. I think she does a good job. I think Peter Dinklage is the goat, who does a good job. I have no idea how this is as an adaptation. I'd like to assume that everything that's in the play is here in the movie. I don't know if they added anything. I don't know if they took anything away. Like, I have no point of reference. But from what I was presented here, I think they did a good job, and I would recommend it. So, the second movie I saw was Gladiator. So, I actually saw an early screening of Wicked, so I saw Wicked way earlier in the week. Gladiator I saw yesterday. For Gladiator... So there's been this whole thing about, it's called like Glickid or something like that. You know, they're trying to, basically studio executives and marketing departments are trying to recreate Barbenheimer. You know, you had Barbenheimer, which was this lightning in a bottle moment where two polar opposite movies, you know, they released on the same day and people just kind of bought into the hype. And it was a very fun experience. As someone who did the Barbenheimer double feature, I had a really good time with it. So I've seen, right, marketing departments have been trying to make Wicked and Gladiator II a double feature. And I'll be honest, it's just not the same. Like, it's like trying to capture lightning in a bottle again. Like, yeah, you had it once, but it was organic. The fact that Barbenheimer came from fans is why that worked. It was something that the people themselves who liked the movies, they made it. They made Barbenheimer a thing. Whereas this whole Glickid thing feels artificial. It feels like studio executives are trying to force this into existence. And as a result, I don't like it. Like, it feels so forced. It feels so fake. Because you can't make something like that happen. It has to happen naturally. And then it's up for marketing departments to just embrace it. The best example I can think of is Doom and Animal Crossing. They both released on the same day. The fandoms thought, hey, isn't this funny that these two polar opposites are releasing together? And then specifically Doom, the Bethesda, just rolled with it. And now Isabelle and Doom Guy are canonically married, which, admittedly, I think of it more as like a father-daughter relationship than a husband and wife thing. But whatever. You know what? I think the meme is funny because it came from the fans. It has to come from the fans. And unlike Barbie and Oppenheimer, which were just complete polar opposites, I actually think Wicked, you need that. You need them to be polar opposites. Because I feel like the Gladiator Wicked thing also doesn't work because they're too similar. Not that they're... I mean, one's an action movie and one's a musical. But I feel like they have more in common than, you know, Barbie and Oppenheimer did. Which, I mean, there are comments to be made here and there. But so I literally just saw these two movies because I wanted to see these new movies. Not because, right, like the Barbie Oppenheimer thing, I saw them both one after another because I thought that was fun. Right? I bought into the hype. Here, no, I just saw them because I wanted to see movies. Because I have not seen that many movies this year. When it comes to seeing movies, I am awful this year. I have not seen nearly anything I wanted to. It took me like a month to get to Transformers 1. I still haven't seen The Wild Robot. I still haven't seen Venom 3. Which I know Venom 3 is not going to be good, but you know, I at least wanted to see it. So yeah, it's been awful, but I got to these two. So my thoughts on Gladiator, my thoughts on the original movie. I like the original movie. You know, I'm kind of a history nerd, so I know there's a lot of historical inaccuracies in the original Gladiator. I know the original movie's depictions of gladiators is very inaccurate. I know Adam Conover did an entire episode of his show talking about how gladiators were actually more like modern sports stars than they are, you know, as they are depicted in the movies. Yeah, he compared them more to, like, you know, like NBA players with, like, their sports deals and everything. So yeah, it was a very different thing, but you know, Gladiator's still a decent movie. The second one, yeah, I'd kind of say the same thing. It's still a decent movie. I feel like, you know, there's a part of it where it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do, you know, what the first movie did again. It's a little bit more complicated, you know. I definitely highly recommend watching the original before watching the new one. There are definitely some things... there are a few callbacks to the original, and while some of it is explained, you know, we do see some clips from the original. I'd still recommend just seeing the original first. Again, it's good. The original is good. I definitely, of the Ridley Scott movies that have been made recently, I think this is one of the better ones. Because he did Napoleon last year, right? I did not care for Napoleon, like, at all. Like, again, another movie filled with historical inaccuracies, but that one I was a lot less kind to because it wasn't as good, whereas this one is better, so I'll put up with some more bullshit. I will say, I was kind of underwhelmed at points. I don't know if this counts... I don't know. I don't think this counts as a spoiler, because it's in the trailers. But there's a scene... So, in real life, the Romans would flood the Colosseum, right? The Colosseum has aqueducts in it, and they could flood the Colosseum to do boat battles. That's really neat. So, of course, the second Gladiator movie works that in as part of the movie. They at one point, they flood the Colosseum and do a boat battle. And I was really excited, because historical inaccuracies aside, I know in real life there were never any sharks in the Colosseum. I can look past that. I can look past the historical inaccuracies there. That's not really that big of a deal if the scene was really cool and really fun. And it just wasn't. Like, it was fine. I still enjoyed it. I like how it ends. I think the ending of the scene is like yeah, you know, like, oh yeah, I totally get why he did that. But the actual scene itself, I don't know, I wanted a cool, like, boat battle. And it's got elements of it, but it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. Like, I wanted this awesome, epic boat battle, and it just wasn't. It wasn't terrible, don't get me wrong. It still has its moments. Again, not getting into any specifics. And yeah, that's kind of a good chunk of the action scenes kind of feel like that. Like, they're good, but they don't kind of blow me away. But I guess the first movie is also like that, because in the first movie, their big action sequence is the tigers, right? They release some tigers into the arena. And yeah, you got some good moments. But yeah, I'll admit, there are some stuff I do not care about. The Emperor, right, in the original movie, right, the Emperor had a personal connection to Maximus, right? He was, you know, the brother-in-law, kind of. Again, that's complicated. But, right, there's this big personal connection. The Emperors in this one, the Twin Emperors, just aren't as good. I just don't feel like they're as strong of villains. There is another villain, without getting into any specifics, who's a little better. But yeah, I did not like the Twin Emperors. It really felt like we were just doing the Emperor from the first movie again, but worse. So that part, I was kind of underwhelmed there. The story, again, historical inaccuracies aside, like, I honestly, if you told me 100% of this is fictional, I would in no way be surprised. Like, at least in the first movie, we know that, right, Marcus Aurelius, you know, was the last good emperor of Rome. We know, Maximus was a real gladiator, at least. Right, like, we know some of the stuff in the first movie is real, even if the rest is bull. Yeah, it's kind of like Titanic, where they work the real stuff in with the fake stuff to try to make it feel more authentic. Hey, Anti-Anonymous, how you doing? Right, the second one just kind of feels a lot more artificial. Right, yes, do they work some real stuff in with the fake stuff? Yeah. I watched bits and pieces of the Mike Tyson fight. Also not very impressed with it. It was pretty underwhelming. Like, you know, you listen to people talk about fighting Mike Tyson, and they make him out to be like an animal. Like, oh yeah, Mike Tyson, like, you know, like, I can't remember who it was. There was some... Not Jerry Rojoin. There was some famous fighter who did, like, an exhibition against Mike Tyson. And, right, he was, like, holding back his punches. He was like, you know what, this is an exhibition match. We're not trying to kill each other. Mike Tyson, though, threw one punch and hit him in the gut, and it was like full force. Like, Mike Tyson only has one speed, and that speed is murder. So, you know, there was part of me leading up to this, I was like, you know, I knew he wasn't gonna win, but I was hoping, like, at least he'd get in, like, a good punch. I mean, if he punched Jake Paul's head off, that would have been really cool. Even at 58, I mean, Mike Tyson still works out. He's not inactive, right? He's not some geriatric old man. He still works out. I would expect at least something from him. And the fight was just nothing. Was it scripted? Maybe? I don't know. I don't want to say it's 100% scripted. Because, you know, I don't know if I'd go that far. Were there some scripted elements? Probably. But yeah, no, the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight was just super underwhelming. But hey, you know, I mean, it's a Jake Paul fight. You know, people get excited for Jake Paul to fight whoever's next, and then he always lets us down. I cannot think of a single good Jake Paul fight. I feel like they've all been letdowns. You're gonna work out all your life and be like Mike Tyson. Yeah, that's a lot of work to do, because oh my gosh. But admittedly, I'm not a big boxing fan. But yeah, I only saw bits and pieces of it, and because, you know, Netflix had all of its connection issues. But I was just I was underwhelmed. Yeah, no, it was not great. Yeah. So yeah, out of everything I've seen this week, go watch Wicked. Wicked is honestly the best thing I've seen this week. I'd recommend it before anything else. I'm definitely, sometime I'm gonna watch Arcane. I really do need to sit down somewhere in the near future and go watch Arcane. There's a part of me that is excited for it, but I just haven't had the time. I would say I haven't had the time, but that's not exactly true. I've been doing other stuff. But everyone says Arcane is great. Admittedly, I haven't heard much about the second season. But I haven't seen the first season either. And I've heard the first season is fantastic. I'm sure the second season's good as well. But yeah, I haven't been... I didn't do anything else. I didn't watch any other. I did rewatch the first Gladiator this week. Again, I still think it's good. I think it holds up. I do like the first one better than the second one. Yeah. God put some limitations on you because he knew without them you'd be unstoppable. And even still, you're gonna fight through it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I've been busy with work, but I've got, you know, I have Thanksgiving off next week. I got. Hopefully, I'll get to some stuff next week. I don't know what. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I gotta play more Cilantro. I gotta watch Arcane. Did I watch any anime? Because I know last week we talked about the vending machine anime. I don't think I did. I don't think I've watched any anime. Haven't built any Lego sets. I don't know, man. It's been a year of Lego for me. No, okay, at least we got the kill on eventually. I really feel like I haven't... I've done so much at work, but I haven't done anything, like, outside of that. I'm just... I, like, come home and I'm just exhausted. And yet I still saw two... I worked, like, a 12-hour day, and then I went and saw Wicked. Like, I was... Like, if I hadn't gotten to an early screening, I don't know if I would have seen Wicked. Alright? Like, I don't know if that would have happened. Because at the end of that day, like, I already had the tickets. I was so exhausted at the end of that day. But I did see it. I did not fall asleep. I did not fall asleep during Wicked or Gladiator, which, again, also... Gladiator wasn't a 12-hour day. I think that was, you know, a normal one. Because, yeah, I worked 2 12-hour days this week. So I was fucking exhausted. My Dress Up Darling Season 2. Yeah, you know, I hope it's good. I do like the first season. I wish they were college. I wish all the characters were college age. The fact that I hate all these animes where it's just high schoolers, man. And it feels, the older I get, the creepier that feels. I wish they would just use college age kids. Like, I feel like you could tell all these stories, make them college age, and it would change nothing. The fact that they're all high schoolers, it's just... the older I get, the grosser it gets. But no, My Dress Up Darling is good. There was one anime that I was like, oh, this sounds really good. What was it? Did I write it down? Where it's like, oh, I'm kind of... It wasn't like, oh yeah, this looks fantastic, I have to watch this right now. But you know, I was kind of curious. Just kind of looking through some of my things. I have no idea. I don't have it written down here. Yeah, I guess I don't really have any animes to look forward to. Actually, we're gonna call it there. Yeah, I know. I'll do stuff in the future. I just don't know when. So yeah, I guess that takes us to our outro. Let's pull our thing. Now that we're a millionaire. Oh, you know what? You know what did... I have not listened to it yet. But Kendrick Lamar released his new album today. I think it's called like GNX or something like that. I'm gonna listen to that. I am super... You know, I'm excited for a new Kendrick album. I hope it's great. I just didn't have time. I saw it today, and I just haven't had the time. But I am excited for that. So what's coming up in the future? I told a friend My Dress Up and not to watch it in the living room. He said, I'm gonna watch it in my living room. It's like, have you ever heard of the, I think it's called the Suicide Jerk, where you, where, you know, you yank it, and then right as you, finish, you call out, Mom! And just, you know, try not to get caught. That's kind of like watching certain animes and just try not to get caught. You know, reminds me of something like that. Stupid fucking 4chan posts. But yeah, no, I love those where it's like, you know, no matter what anime you watch, the second you watch it where somebody else comes around, you're gonna get fucked. Do I have all this Amiibo sets gear? I thought I was missing something, but the fact that it didn't just give me something makes me think that I have it all. Okay, there's the footwear. There's the shirt. Is that... Wait, is that the footwear for that? Maybe that's the footwear for that? Yeah, Captain's flip-flops, Captain's shirt. Okay, so I do have all the Amiibo. So all the new Amiibo gear I do have. Because there's the hero replica, there's the hero, the survival suit replica, and there's the survival footwear. Yeah. That all seems right anyways. Because there's the pearl hat. I think that's the Marina hat. Yeah. For real, I'll be watching One Piece or something. It'll be funny, but my parents walk in and it's a shower scene or a scene with a lot of cleavage. Yeah. Yep, that's just kind of how anime works. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, just objective survive. So, what's coming up in the future of the stream? I have no idea. Of course, you know, in chat next week, post-Thanksgiving. I don't know, I might not do until Saturday. We might skip Friday next week and do Saturday instead. Because I might have something to do on Friday. You know, maybe. So yeah, we won't be. So we'll be back sometime next week. I just don't know. I don't think it's going to be Friday. It's definitely not going to be Thanksgiving. But you know, we'll be back next week regardless. Original link. I'm thinking about it. I do want to do it at some point. I just don't know if I'm going to get to it this year. I was thinking, I had an idea. So the Game Awards is 4 hours long, right? The Game Awards show is 4 hours. And I had the idea, what if we do a stream that's, hey, can we beat the entirety of Astrobot before Astrobot wins Game of the Years at the Game Awards? So we, like, have Astrobot up, but then, like, up here in the corner, right? Oops, wrong one. Where is it? There we go. But, right, like, up here in the corner, we have the Game Awards. And then down, right, and then we're playing through Astrobot while we have the Game Awards up in the corner. And can we beat Astrobot before it's the end of the Game Awards? I think that would be a very funny stream. I'd like that idea. So I might do that on the Game Awards, whatever day that is. I don't know what day the Game Awards is. December 12th? Okay. So that might be the plan at the moment, is to do, right, can we beat Astrobot before it wins Game of the Year? I don't know, it's just an idea I had that I'm like, that would make a very fun stream. I like that idea. So I don't know, let me go to speedrun.com. Speedrun.com. Let's see, what is Astrobot? Wait, is Astrobot not a speedrun game? It's gotta be, right? There it is, Astrobot. Okay. The any percent world record is 2 hours and 8 minutes. I think as someone who knows nothing about nothing, we can probably beat it in 4 hours. I think we can do that. Hopefully. Maybe. Definitely wouldn't be 100% completion. Fuck 100% completion. Right, that would take for, let's see, 100% completion. Yeah, the 100% completion world record is 5 hours. Fuck that. But I think in any percent record, we could probably do that in less than 4 hours. I'll even submit it to speedrun.com afterwards, assuming we do it in under 4 hours. I think that's a fun idea for a stream. So we might do that on December 12th. That might be coming up. That's kind of my one big stream idea. Other than that, you know, we'll figure out the rest. Yeah, we'll figure out the rest. Yeah, we got that. And then in December, I don't know if it's going to be at the end of December or the first week of January, we are going to do Game of the Year. I have not started writing my Game of the Year list, but I will at some point in December. What day is that going to be on? Because it's coming up. It's in like 4 weeks. It's coming up way quicker than I think. Crunch. Let's see. I'm either going to do Game of the Year on December 27th or January 3rd. We'll see how the schedule breaks out. But we'll also see, because they are doing a final end of the year Splatfest. So we'll see if they do that right after Christmas. Oh no, not even close. Zenless, so I mean, it is nominated for mobile game, for best mobile game. But no, I think currently my prediction right now is it's either going to be Astrobot or it's going to be Elden Ring again. That's my prediction. It's going to be one of those two. I'd love to see Balacho take it. I would love to see Balacho take it, but I don't think it's going to happen. Did we even go in the shops? It's gonna be on Game of Thrones this year. There's never anything good at the shops. Oh, we got a TV. Woo. Woo for us. So yeah, I think that's all I got. You know, we're rambling at this point, as we have been for the past, like, 7 minutes. Damn, autocorrect. Corrected it to Game of Thrones. That's funny. But yeah, yeah, that's all I've got for tonight. We'll be back next week with whatever. Hopefully I'll put some more time into Mario and Luigi. And from there, we'll just kind of see how it all shakes out. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time. Peace.